My wife told her sister she still dreams of her ex. When that recording played at family brunch, she couldn't even look me in the eyes. The morning felt too peaceful to be real. Sunlight slipped through the curtains, the smell of pancakes filled the room, and laughter bounced off the walls of my in-laws' dining area. Claire sat across from me, smiling faintly, scrolling through her phone while her sister Emily poured coffee for everyone. For a few moments, I thought, this is what happiness should feel like. Then Emily said quietly, "Claire, can we talk about that message?" Claire's head snapped up. "What message?" Emily's hands trembled as she held her phone. "You know exactly which one." I frowned, glancing between them. "What's going on?" Emily looked at me, then at Claire, her face pale. "I can't keep this secret anymore." "Emily, don't," Claire hissed, voice low, eyes sharp. "Please don't." "What secret?" I asked again, my voice firmer now. Emily took a breath, her thumb hovering over the play button. "I didn't mean to invade her privacy, but she sent me these last week by mistake. I wasn't supposed to hear them." "Emily," Claire whispered, panic spreading across her face, "please. Not here. Not now." But Emily pressed play. Claire's voice filled the room, shaky and quiet through the speaker. "I dream about my ex every night, never him. I don't know why I can't stop thinking about him. I feel trapped sometimes." My fork clattered against the plate. Every sound in the room vanished, just that voice echoing again and again in my head. "Never him." I stared at Claire. She looked like she'd stopped breathing. Her lips parted, but no words came out. What did I just hear?" My voice cracked. Emily's eyes watered. "I'm sorry, I couldn't hold it in anymore. You deserve to know, Jack." Claire shot up from her chair. "You had no right." "None." "Claire," I said quietly, "is it true?" She turned toward me, her face red and trembling. "It was just a stupid message, I didn't mean." "You said it twice," I interrupted, my throat burning. "You said you dream about him every night." "It was just a phase, I swear," she pleaded, hands shaking. I was confused, emotional. I didn't mean what I said. Emily's voice cut through again, breaking the silence. "You told me you still missed him, Claire. You said you wondered what life would have been like if you'd never married." "Stop!" Claire shouted, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Stop twisting everything." "No one's twisting anything," Emily said, her voice trembling. "You sent me those messages. You can't just erase them." My hands were numb. I could barely form words. "So, all this time, what were we even doing?" Claire wiped her face, her mascara smudging. "Jack, please, don't make this bigger than it is." "Bigger than it is?" I laughed bitterly. "You just told your sister you dream about your ex every night and never me, and I'm not supposed to take it seriously?" Her shoulders slumped. I was venting. "I didn't mean to hurt you." I looked at Emily, who was quietly sobbing. "Why now? Why tell me like this?" "Because she wouldn't," Emily said softly. And I couldn't keep pretending nothing was wrong. Claire turned to her sister, fury and heartbreak mixing in her voice. "You ruined my marriage, Emily." Emily shook her head. "No, Claire. You did that yourself." The room went still. The rest of the family stared, speechless. Plates half-eaten, coffee untouched. I pushed back my chair. "I need some air." Claire reached out, grabbing my arm. "Please, don't walk away. We can fix this." I looked at her hand on mine. "You already walked away, Claire. I'm just realizing it now." Her grip loosened. Tears streamed freely down her face. "It didn't mean anything. I swear, I don't even talk to him." "Then why dream about him?" I asked quietly. "Why not me?" Her lips quivered. "I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me." Emily whispered, "Maybe it's because you never really let go of the past." "Stay out of this." Claire snapped. But I could barely hear them anymore. My chest felt hollow, my vision unfocused. I looked around the table, her mother's shocked face, her father staring down at his plate, pretending not to hear. The kind of silence that feels heavier than shouting. I took a deep breath. "I'm not angry," I said slowly. "I'm just done pretending." Claire's voice broke. "Don't say that." "I can't unhear what I heard," I replied. "I can't sit across from you and wonder who you're dreaming about." Her tears fell fast, but I stepped back. Emily whispered, "I'm sorry, Jack." I nodded weakly. "No, Emily. Thank you." Claire tried to speak again, her voice barely audible. "I never wanted it to end like this." I looked at her, really looked at her, for what felt like the last time. Neither did I. Then I walked out, leaving behind the sound of her sobs, the cold coffee, and the echo of her voice on that recording, each word digging a little deeper, reminding me that even in love, silence can be a lie. I still remember the first time I saw Claire. It was during freshman orientation. She was standing on a bench, yelling about how college is just high school with better coffee. Everyone laughed. I didn't. I just stared, wondering how someone could carry that much fire in one body. Later, she caught me looking. "You think I'm crazy, don't you?" "I think you're loud," I said. She grinned. "And you're quiet. Maybe we'll balance each other out." She was right, at least for a while. We started talking after class, sharing fries at the diner near campus. She'd tease me for taking everything seriously. "You always plan things," she said once. "Don't you ever just go with it?" "I like knowing where I'm headed." "That sounds exhausting." "It's safer." "Safe isn't fun, Jack." She laughed when she said it, but it stuck with me. Even back then, she craved chaos. When we got married, people said we were opposites, her fire, my calm. I used to believe that's what made us work. I'd come home after work to find her painting something random on the walls, sunsets, stars, once even a huge orange circle she called a portal to better days. I never understood her metaphors, but I loved watching her create them. "You'll hate it in a week," I'd joke. "Maybe," she'd reply, smiling. "But for now, it feels alive." She always chased that, feeling alive. We didn't have much. A small apartment, a noisy fridge, a faucet that wouldn't stop leaking no matter how many times I fixed it. But she'd dance barefoot in the kitchen while I tried to cook, spinning to music from some old playlist. "You look ridiculous," I'd say, pretending not to smile. "That's the point," she'd laugh, "life's too short to look perfect." Those were the good days. The simple ones. She used to sit on the couch beside me, sketching while I read. Sometimes she'd look up and ask, "Do you ever think we'll get bored of each other?" I'd laugh. "No." "Why?" "Because people change, Jack. I don't ever want to feel stuck." "You're not stuck. You chose this." "Yeah. I did." That pause, it was tiny, but I remember it now. There were signs, even before things fell apart. Her phone started buzzing more often. She'd smile at her screen, lock it quickly, then say, "Just work stuff." I didn't question it at first. I trusted her. "You're quiet lately," I said one night while washing dishes. "Just tired." "Of what?" "Everything." I dried my hands and turned to her. "Talk to me." She sighed. "You wouldn't get it. Try me. I feel like I'm fading, Jack. Like I used to be someone wild, and now I'm just someone's wife." Her words stung, but I didn't argue. I thought love was enough to fill that void for her. Sometimes she'd disappear for catching up with friends nights. I'd wait up, pretending to watch TV, my stomach tight until I heard her key in the door. "You're awake?" she'd whisper. "Yeah. You don't have to wait for me. I like knowing you're home safe." She'd smile faintly, but her eyes were somewhere else. One night, I asked, "Are you happy?" She froze for a second. "You mean, with us?" "Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I miss the feeling of something new. We can make new memories." "It's not the same, Jack." That was the first time I realized love doesn't always sound like forever. But I kept trying, flowers, dinners, weekend drives. She'd thank me, but her gratitude felt rehearsed. "You're too calm sometimes," she said once, sipping her wine. "Maybe one of us has to be. Maybe that's the problem." "You'd rather I yell?" "No. I just wish you made me feel something." Her words hit harder than she knew. I remember staring at her across the table, candlelight flickering between us, thinking, how do you make someone feel something they've already decided to stop feeling? A week later, she started a new art project, abstract pieces full of reds and grays. She called it Restless Hearts. I didn't ask who inspired it. I didn't want to know. Our conversations grew shorter. "Good morning" turned into nods. "I love you" turned into silence. Once, she came home late, smelling faintly of cologne that wasn't mine. I didn't ask. I just said, "You're late." "Traffic." "You could have called." Didn't think it mattered. It did. God, it did. But saying so felt desperate. So I smiled and pretended not to notice her pulling further away. I thought if I stayed steady, she'd find her way back. But love isn't gravity, it doesn't always pull people home. And now, when I think back to those days, the laughter, the paint on our walls, the leaking faucet that kept me awake, I wonder if she was already drifting, even then. Maybe the truth is, things don't fall apart suddenly. They crack slowly, quietly, until one morning you wake up and realize, what you thought was a heartbeat was just an echo. "Claire, who are you texting?" I asked one night, the glow of her phone lighting her face more than my presence ever did. She didn't look up. "Just work stuff, don't be paranoid." Her voice was flat, too flat for someone who used to tease me for checking my phone during dinner. I forced a laugh. "Since when does work make you giggle like that?" She rolled over, turning her back to me, the bedsheet forming a wall between us. "You're imagining things, Mark. Go to sleep." I stared at her silhouette in the dim light. "I just miss talking to you," I said quietly. She exhaled, long and sharp. "We talk every day." "No," I whispered, "we exchange logistics." "That's not talking." The silence that followed was thick, like fog in a room where love used to breathe easily. I turned on my side, watching the small distance between our bodies feel like miles. The next morning, I made coffee for two. She took hers without a word. "Busy day ahead?" I asked, hoping to catch her eyes. She nodded, scrolling her phone. "Meeting at 11. Don't wait for lunch." "You used to text me after those meetings," I said, half joking. She smiled faintly. "People change, Mark. Schedules get tight." Her phone buzzed. She looked at it too quickly, smiled too softly. "Who's that?" I asked, trying to keep my tone steady. "Just a colleague," she said, slipping the phone into her bag. "You've got to stop overanalyzing everything." I bit my lip. "Then stop giving me reasons to." She froze, then muttered, "You're exhausting sometimes," before walking out the door. The echo of the latch sounded like an ending I didn't want to admit was coming. That evening, I found her perfume different, lighter, sweeter, not the musky one she always wore. "New scent?" I asked when she got home. "Yeah," she said, hanging her coat. "You don't like it?" "It's nice," I said. "Just not you." She smiled vaguely. "Maybe I'm changing too." I forced a grin. "Hopefully not into someone I can't recognize." Her expression flickered, then vanished. "Don't be dramatic." Later that night, she sat scrolling in bed again. "Claire," I said softly, "can we talk? Like really talk?" She sighed. "About what?" "About us. You seem distant lately." "I'm tired," she murmured, still staring at her screen. I reached for her hand. She pulled it away. "Claire." "Mark, please," she snapped, finally meeting my eyes. "Not everything is about you feeling ignored." Her words cut deeper than she knew. "It's not about me," I said. "It's about us." "Us is fine," she said, turning her back again. "Stop digging for problems." But the silence that followed was the loudest confirmation I'd ever heard. Nights turned colder. She started coming to bed later, her hair smelling faintly of a perfume I didn't recognize, her face lit by messages I wasn't meant to read. Once, I reached for her waist as she slid under the blanket. She flinched. "Sorry," I murmured. "It's okay," she said too quickly, her voice thin. "You used to like when I held you." "People grow," she whispered, facing the wall again. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, wondering when growth started feeling like decay. Days blurred into quiet dinners and colder mornings. She laughed more at her phone, less at my jokes. "Remember when we couldn't stop talking?" I asked one evening. She didn't look up. "People get comfortable. It's normal." "Comfortable?" I said softly. "Feels more like strangers renting the same bed." Her lips tightened. "You always overthink." "Maybe," I said, "but I'm the only one still thinking about us." She grabbed her keys. "I'm going out for a bit." "With who?" "Friends," she said, already at the door. "Anyone I know?" Her hand hesitated on the knob. "You don't know all my friends, Mark." When she left, the silence filled every corner. The house smelled faintly of her new perfume and something else, guilt, maybe. I sat on the edge of the bed that night, staring at the indentation where she used to sleep close. The distance between us wasn't just emotional anymore. It was measurable, like a gap between two pillows, between two hearts that used to beat in sync. I lay down, facing her empty side. And for the first time in years, I didn't reach out my hand to close the space. Emily came by one evening with her usual energy, but I sensed something different in the air. Claire moved around the kitchen like a startled bird, dropping spoons, checking her phone, avoiding eye contact. "Everything okay?" I asked, leaning against the counter. "Yeah," she said too quickly. "Just tired." Emily's eyes darted between us. "You sure?" Claire forced a smile. "Of course. Want tea?" Emily nodded, but her gaze lingered on Claire longer than usual. I noticed it, the kind of look that says something's off. When Claire stepped out to take a call, Emily leaned toward me. "Mark," she whispered, "has she been different lately?" I shrugged, pretending not to notice the obvious. "She's just stressed. Work's been crazy." Emily said softly. "You don't sound convinced." I tried to laugh it off. "Marriage goes through phases, right? I'm sure it's nothing." She nodded slowly but didn't seem reassured. "Okay. If you say so." When Claire came back in, her smile looked painted on. "What are you two whispering about?" "Just talking about your amazing tea," Emily said quickly. Claire laughed, but it didn't reach her eyes. That night, after Emily left, I asked, "What was that phone call about?" She froze for a second, then said, "A friend." "You don't know her?" "Another new friend?" I tried to sound casual, but she caught the edge in my tone. "Don't start," she said, walking off. Weeks passed, but the tension stayed. Emily stopped dropping by as often. When she did, she seemed uneasy, like she was carrying a secret too heavy to keep. One afternoon, I ran into her at a cafe. She looked startled when she saw me. "Mark." "Hey," she said, forcing a smile. "Hey. You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." "I'm fine," she said quickly, then sighed. "Actually, no. I'm not." "What's going on?" I asked. She hesitated. "Nothing. Forget it." "Emily," I said firmly. "What's wrong?" She shook her head. "I can't. Not yet." "Not yet?" Her eyes glistened. "You'll understand soon." At the time, I didn't. But later, after that brunch, I did. That day, when she played those voice notes in front of everyone, I thought she was cruel. But now, remembering her trembling voice and pale face at that cafe, I realized she was drowning in guilt long before I knew the truth. After the chaos, after Claire's breakdown and the shocked silence that followed, I found Emily sitting alone on the porch, tears streaking her face. "Why?" I asked quietly. "Why would you do that, like that?" She looked up, shaking. "I didn't want to hurt you." Then why play them in front of everyone? My voice cracked. Why humiliate her, humiliate me? She pressed her palms together. Because she was never going to tell you, Mark. Never. I tried to get her to. I begged her. I stared at her. How long did you know? 2 weeks, she whispered. I didn't mean to find out. I was staying at her place one night, she'd had too much wine. I heard her recording voice notes. I thought they were for you. My stomach turned. But they weren't. She shook her head. No. They were for someone named Daniel. I closed my eyes, feeling something inside me collapse. I shouldn't have listened, she said. But she said things, Mark. Things you deserve to know. Like what? I asked, though I already dreaded the answer. She said she dreams about him. That she feels trapped. That you make her feel safe but lifeless. Her words sliced through me like glass. And you recorded them? I didn't mean to, she said quickly. I just froze. Then when I confronted her, she begged me not to tell you. Said it would destroy everything. I clenched my fists. So instead, you played it at brunch? In front of the whole family? Tears spilled down her cheeks. I didn't plan that, I swear. I just couldn't take it anymore. Watching her sit there, pretending nothing was wrong. Laughing. Lying. You were right there, Mark, and she was still hiding it. I thought, maybe if she heard her own words out loud, maybe she'd finally admit it. I stared at her. You didn't think about what it would do to me? She covered her face. I thought about you every night since I found those messages. I didn't know how to tell you without breaking you. And then it just spilled out. Her voice cracked into sobs. I'm sorry, Mark. I'm so sorry. I turned away, staring into the empty street. You wanted truth, I said quietly. You got it. She reached for me, but I stepped back. I wish you'd told me privately, I said. I wish I could unhear every word. She whispered, she was never going to stop. I swallowed hard, pain burning like acid. And now none of us can go back. The night air felt colder than it should have. Emily cried softly beside me, and I realized she hadn't just exposed my wife's betrayal, she destroyed the illusion that any of us were still innocent. The door slammed behind me as I stepped into the cold morning air. My pulse hammered in my ears, my vision blurred by a rage I couldn't name. The sound of her heels followed me down the porch steps. Mark. Please, wait. Claire's voice cracked behind me. I turned, my jaw tight. Why? So you can feed me more lies? She shook her head frantically. It wasn't like that. You don't understand. I understand perfectly, I cut her off. You told your sister you dream about him every night. You said never me. How much clearer can it get? Her eyes filled with tears. They were just words, just feelings, I never met him again. I laughed bitterly. Oh, that makes it better? You only cheated emotionally? Congratulations, that's such a noble upgrade. Please don't do this, she begged, stepping closer. It was stupid. I was lonely. You were distant, always working, always tired. Don't you dare blame this on me, I snapped. I was trying to build a future for us while you were building fantasies with another man. She grabbed my arm. Mark, I swear, it didn't mean anything. I yanked my arm free. You said you dream about him every night. What am I, Claire? Just background noise? Her lip trembled. I didn't mean it like that. Then how did you mean it? I demanded. Explain it to me, because right now it sounds like I've been living with a stranger. She looked down, her hands shaking. I don't know. It just happened. I reconnected with him online one night. I was having a bad week. You were working late, and I couldn't sleep. He messaged me out of nowhere. My chest tightened. And you thought, why not ruin everything for a bit of nostalgia? Tears streamed down her face. It wasn't supposed to go that far. We just talked. About old times, about nothing. But it felt, she hesitated, alive. Alive? I repeated, my voice breaking. So our marriage is what then? Dead? No, she said quickly. You don't get it. I love you, Mark. I do. But somewhere along the way, I stopped feeling like me. Talking to him reminded me of who I used to be. I stared at her, every muscle trembling. So, you needed another man to feel alive? It wasn't about him, she said weakly. It was about me trying to remember something I lost. You lost us, I said sharply. You lost trust, honesty, everything that mattered. She took a shaky step toward me. It wasn't physical. I swear to you, I never saw him in person after college. I could barely breathe. You think that helps? Hearing your voice whispering his name, hearing you say you dream of him every night, Claire, that's worse. Because it wasn't just lust. It was your heart. She sobbed, clutching her chest. It was never supposed to hurt you like this. Then who was it supposed to hurt? I asked quietly. Because right now, I'm standing in the wreckage of everything we built. She wiped her tears, desperate. You have to believe me. I ended it before it went further. When? A few months ago. I laughed hollowly. So you ended it, but never thought to tell me? You just kept sleeping next to me, pretending everything was fine. I was ashamed, she whispered. Every night, I told myself I'd confess, but then you'd smile at me, and I couldn't. You couldn't, I echoed. Not because you loved me, but because you wanted to keep both worlds, comfort and excitement, safety and secrets. Her face crumpled. That's not true. It's exactly true, I said. You wanted me to stay predictable while he made you feel alive. I was your anchor, he was your escape. Stop, she cried. You're twisting it. I don't need to twist anything, I said coldly. You recorded your own confession. She covered her mouth, shaking. I didn't know Emily would. Play it for the whole family? I interrupted. Yeah, she shouldn't have. But maybe she did what you couldn't, expose the truth. Her eyes filled with panic. I can't lose you, Mark. Please. You already did, I whispered. She reached for my hand. We can fix this. Therapy, time, whatever it takes. Please, don't walk away from everything we have. I stared at her, remembering every laugh, every promise, every night we fell asleep holding hands. Then I remembered her voice saying never him. You killed what we had, I said softly. I built a life with you, not just a house. She sobbed harder. I didn't mean to destroy it. I just felt invisible. Then you should have looked at me, I said. I was right there. I know, she cried. I know, and I hate myself for it. The morning sun hit her face, streaked with tears, and for a moment I almost reached out. But then the memory of her words replayed in my head. I dream about my ex every night. Mark, she whispered, please say something. I swallowed hard. I don't even know who you are anymore. She took a step closer. I'm still me. Broken, confused, but me. The woman who loves you. I shook my head. The woman who loved him more. She gasped like the words had punched the air from her lungs. That's not true. Then why can't you stop dreaming about him? Her silence said everything. The ache in my chest turned to something colder, heavier. You didn't just betray me, Claire. You made me question every memory we ever made. She covered her face. Please, don't leave. I already have, I said, my voice barely a whisper. She reached out, grabbing the sleeve of my jacket. Mark, please, don't do this. I can't lose you. I gently pulled away. You lost me the moment you decided someone else made you feel alive. Her sobs echoed down the empty street as I turned toward my car. Mark, she called out again, her voice breaking. I didn't turn around. The morning air was sharp, and with every step, the weight of her words pressed deeper into me. Behind me, she kept calling my name, her voice fading into the wind, fragile, desperate, and full of the same regret I once thought we'd never have between us. But I kept walking. Because sometimes, the only way to survive love is to leave what's left of it behind. The first night in Mark's spare room felt like sleeping inside a memory I didn't belong to. The walls were bare, the mattress too firm, and the silence pressed down heavier than the blankets. "You're not weak for loving her," Mark said as he handed me a glass of water. I stared at the floor. "Then why does it feel like I'm the one who did something wrong?" He sat across from me, elbows on his knees. "Because you cared. People like you always end up bleeding for those who only bruise." I let out a bitter laugh. "That's poetic. Doesn't make it hurt less." He shrugged. "Wasn't trying to." For a while, we sat in silence, the hum of the ceiling fan the only sound. My phone buzzed on the nightstand, her name lighting the screen. "Claire." I didn't move. Mark noticed. "You gonna read it?" "Yeah," I muttered, unlocking it. The message was long. I read silently, my chest tightening with each word. "Please, I didn't mean to lose you. I can't sleep. I keep hearing your voice when I close my eyes. I don't know how to fix this." I put the phone face down. "She says she can't sleep," I said quietly. "Funny, neither can I." "Don't reply," Mark said gently. I wasn't going to. He leaned back. "You sure?" I sighed. "No." He nodded like he understood something words couldn't explain. After he left the room, I lay staring at the ceiling. The shadows looked like questions I couldn't answer. Every few minutes, my mind replayed old scenes, her laugh echoing in the kitchen, her fingers tracing circles on my hand while we watched TV, her voice saying "You're too safe for me." Now, safety felt like a punishment. At 3 a.m., I opened my journal. I hadn't written in years, but I needed somewhere to put the ache. The first line came out shaky: "I don't know how to stop loving someone who broke me." I stared at it for a long time before writing more. Memories bled through the ink, our first trip, her messy handwriting on sticky notes, her perfume on my hoodie. Each word felt like pulling glass from my chest. The next morning, Mark knocked softly. "You get any sleep?" I shook my head. "I don't think I remember how." He frowned. "You've got to eat, man." "Food doesn't fix ghosts," I said. He sighed. "No, but it keeps you alive long enough to outlast them." I cracked a small smile. "You should put that on a poster." He chuckled. "Maybe after coffee." Later, while he was at work, I sat by the window and watched people pass by. They looked normal, smiling, talking, living. I wondered how many of them were pretending, too. My phone buzzed again. Another message from her. "I miss you. Please just say something. Anything." I didn't reply. I couldn't. Every word she sent felt like reopening the wound she created. Instead, I wrote another journal entry: "Silence isn't revenge. It's survival." That night, Mark joined me with 2 beers. "How's the journaling going?" I smirked weakly. "Cheaper than therapy." "Maybe," he said, "but therapy doesn't drink your beer." We laughed, the sound short and fragile. Then I said quietly, "Do you think she misses me, or just hates being alone?" He didn't hesitate. "She misses the version of you that forgave everything." I nodded slowly. "Yeah. That guy's gone." The word surprised me when they came out, but they felt right. Hours passed. I couldn't sleep again. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her crying on that porch, calling my name. Sometimes, I almost reached for my phone. Almost. Instead, I turned back to my journal. She said it made her feel alive. Maybe heartbreak is what makes me feel human again. The words blurred as my eyes burned. I whispered into the darkness, "Was any of it real?" There was no answer. Just the hum of the fan and the quiet drip of the sink down the hall. Mark's words replayed in my mind: "You're not weak for loving her." Maybe not. But it sure didn't feel like strength. As the sky began to lighten, I closed the journal and whispered to myself, "This pain won't last forever." And for the first time, I almost believed it. I hadn't heard Claire's name in months until Emily brought it up over coffee. She's not the same anymore, Emily said quietly, stirring her drink. I looked up. What do you mean? She lost her job a few weeks ago. Her manager said she'd stopped showing up. And, her ex blocked her. I leaned back, trying to process it. He blocked her? Emily nodded. Apparently, he got engaged to someone else. She found out through social media. It broke her. I didn't say anything. The words just floated in the air between us. You don't look surprised, Emily said. I'm not, I admitted. I just don't feel anything anymore. She's paying for what she did, you know. I shook my head. Karma doesn't interest me, Em. I just wanted peace. She sighed, eyes softening. She asks about you sometimes. I laughed, bitterly. What could she possibly ask? If I still hate her? No, Emily said. If you've forgiven her. I looked down at my coffee. That's harder than you think. A week later, I saw her. It was unplanned. I was at a small coffee shop near my new place, reading on my phone when I smelled something familiar, her perfume. The one I used to buy her for birthdays. My chest tightened before I even turned. Hi, she said softly. Her voice hadn't changed, but everything else had. Her eyes were swollen, her skin pale, like sleep hadn't visited her in weeks. Claire. That's all I managed. She smiled weakly. You look good. Thanks. I hesitated, unsure if I should stay seated or walk away. Can I sit? She asked, already pulling the chair out. Sure, I said, though I didn't mean it. Silence stretched between us, filled with the clinking of cups and the low hum of background music. I didn't think I'd see you again, she said. Neither did I. She took a deep breath. Do you ever think of me? I met her eyes. Every day, I said honestly, but not the way you want me to. Her lip trembled. I deserve that. I said nothing. I thought he loved me, she whispered. I thought he saw me. I looked down at the table. He saw what he wanted. I did too. She frowned. What do you mean? I wanted to believe you were happy with me. Even when you were slipping away. Tears welled up in her eyes. I was stupid. I ruined everything. I don't even know why. Because you were searching for something you already had, I said quietly. She wiped her cheeks. You always talked like that, like you saw deeper than me. Maybe that was the problem. I saw us as forever. You saw us as temporary. Her shoulders slumped. I can't sleep anymore. I keep hearing your voice. Every time I wake up, I think maybe I can fix it somehow. You can't, I said gently. Some things break too completely. She covered her face, sobbing softly. People glanced our way, but I didn't care. I wish I could undo it, she cried. All of it. I know, I said. But wishes don't build trust. She reached across the table. Please, just tell me there's still a chance. I pulled my hand back. Claire, you made your choice. Now I'm making mine. What choice? She whispered. To let go. She looked shattered. You really don't love me anymore? I love the memory of who we were, I said. But not what we became. She stared at me, as if memorizing my face one last time. Then she nodded, eyes wet. I understand. I stood, leaving some money on the table. Take care of yourself, I said. As I walked toward the door, her voice followed me. I'm sorry, truly sorry. I turned once. She was still crying, her hands shaking, that same perfume wrapping the air in bittersweet nostalgia. For a second, I remembered our first date, the laughter, the hope, the promise. But it all felt like another lifetime. Outside, the morning air was crisp. I stood there, breathing in freedom that finally didn't hurt. Emily's words echoed in my head, she's not the same anymore. Neither was I. I didn't feel vengeance or satisfaction. Just quiet peace, the kind that comes when you finally stop looking back. Karma had done what I never could. And for the first time in months, I walked away without feeling the need to turn around. The months blurred together, but not in the way they used to. The chaos had settled. The nights didn't ache anymore. I woke up early now, made my own coffee, and went for runs before sunrise. The city felt different when it was quiet, like it finally matched my pace. At first, silence terrified me. I used to fill it with her voice, her laughter, even her absence. Now, it just existed. Peaceful. Whole. Mark noticed the change before I did. "You look better," he said one morning as we sat on his balcony, sharing coffee like old times. "Do I?" I asked, half smiling. He nodded. "Yeah. You used to look like you were holding your breath all the time." I laughed. Maybe I was. Maybe I didn't even realize it. He leaned forward. "So what changed?" "I finally stopped fighting ghosts," I said. He smiled, nodding like he understood. "That's heavy, man. But good." "It's strange," I continued. "I thought moving on meant forgetting her. But it's not about forgetting, it's about forgiving myself." Mark raised an eyebrow. "For what?" "For staying too long. For trying to fix something that didn't want to be fixed. For thinking love meant losing myself." He looked thoughtful. "You sound like a therapist." I smirked. "That's because I actually started seeing one." He laughed. "Really? You?" "Yeah," I said, sipping my coffee. "She doesn't tell me what to do. She just listens, and somehow that's enough. Turns out healing isn't loud, it's quiet, slow, and kind." After Mark left for work, I stayed on the balcony, watching the sunlight slide across the buildings. My phone buzzed with work notifications from my new job, a place that actually made me feel capable again. Coding, deadlines, small victories. I had purpose. In the evenings, I'd return to my small apartment. The walls were empty, but they felt alive. I'd cook for myself, sometimes talk out loud just to hear my own voice. For the first time, I liked my own company. One Sunday, while sorting old boxes, I found a photo of Claire and me at the beach. I froze for a moment. Her smile still hurt, but it didn't sting like before. I placed the photo in a drawer instead of tearing it. Maybe keeping it wasn't weakness anymore, maybe it was acceptance. Later that night, Mark called. "You free tomorrow? We're grabbing drinks after work." "Yeah," I said. "Count me in." He hesitated. "You sure? You've been different lately." "Different good or different weird?" I asked, amused. "Good," he replied. "Like you're not carrying the world on your shoulders anymore." I smiled to myself. That's because it wasn't mine to carry. I slept early that night. No memories, no what-ifs, no ghosts. Just me and the quiet hum of life moving on. The next morning, I ran through the park. The air was crisp, the sun golden. For once, my mind wasn't replaying old conversations, it was just still. I didn't need music or distraction. My breath, the wind, the rhythm of my feet, all of it felt like proof that I'd survived something that once felt unsurvivable. When I stopped to rest, I saw a couple sitting on a bench, laughing. Something inside me loosened. I didn't envy them. I didn't ache. I just wished them well. That's when it hit me, peace isn't forgetting what broke you. It's learning to live without needing to fix it. Later that evening, Mark and I sat at a small rooftop cafe. "You ever think about calling her?" he asked. I shook my head. "No. There's nothing left to say. Not even to show you're over it." I smiled faintly. "Being over it isn't something you prove. It's something you live." He raised his glass. "To peace then." "To peace," I said, clinking mine against his. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in soft orange and pink. I realized I hadn't checked my phone in hours. No messages, no waiting, no wondering. Just stillness. As we left, Mark said, "You know what's funny? You always said revenge would make you feel better." I laughed. Turns out peace does the job better. He grinned. Guess that's your final lesson, huh? Maybe not final, I said. But close enough. Walking home under the fading light, I passed the coffee shop where I'd last seen Claire. For a moment, I stopped, staring through the window. A different couple sat at our old table, laughing. It didn't hurt anymore. It just reminded me how far I'd come. I whispered to myself, peace is the best revenge. And for the first time, I actually believed it. I sat at my desk, the lamp's soft glow spilling over the blank page. It had been months since I'd even thought about writing to her, but tonight, something inside me stirred. Maybe it was closure. Maybe it was just curiosity. What would I say if I could say everything? The pen felt heavy in my hand. I took a deep breath and began. Claire, I wrote. I don't even know why I'm writing this. Maybe because silence sometimes needs words to rest in. Maybe because there are things that never got said, not to fix anything, but to finally let go. The words came easier than I expected. You broke me in ways I didn't know I could break, I continued, but you also showed me who I could become. I paused, staring at that line. It was true. Pain has a strange way of shaping you, sanding you down to something honest. I whispered to myself, maybe I needed to lose her to find myself. My mind wandered to those nights I stayed awake, replaying her laughter, her apologies, her lies. I didn't hate her anymore. I didn't even resent her. I just understood. I kept writing. Thank you for teaching me that love without honesty is just habit. That comfort without trust is emptiness in disguise. I used to think love was about holding on, now I know it's about knowing when to let go. I leaned back, exhaling slowly. The air smelled faintly of paper and ink. Mark's voice echoed in my head, his words from weeks ago. You look lighter, man. He was right. This letter wasn't for her, it was for me. I dipped the pen again. You once said I made you feel safe. I hope you find that safety again, within yourself this time. I hope you stop running from the parts of you that scare you most. The lines blurred for a moment. I blinked hard. No tears, I muttered. Not tonight. I wrote one final paragraph, steady and clear. I don't know where life will take either of us, but I hope we both find peace. Maybe in another lifetime, we'll meet as two people who learned from what went wrong, not as the ones who caused it. I set the pen down. The room felt still, as if even time was listening. I read the letter once more, quietly, almost reverently. Each word carried weight, not of regret, but release. It wasn't a goodbye, it was acceptance written in ink. For a long moment, I just stared at the page. Then I whispered, you don't deserve to read this, but I deserve to write it. I folded the paper carefully, creasing it down the middle. My hands didn't shake this time. I stepped out onto the balcony. The night air was cool, the city below humming softly. I struck a match and watched the flame flicker to life. For a second, I hesitated. Then I touched the edge of the paper to the flame. It caught instantly, curling and darkening. The ink turned to smoke, the words dissolving before they ever reached her. Tiny sparks drifted up, vanishing into the night. I whispered, goodbye, Claire. As the last ember died, I felt something strange, lightness. The kind that doesn't come from forgetting, but from forgiving. I leaned against the railing, watching the ashes scatter into the dark, carried away by the wind. For the first time, I didn't feel empty. I felt free. I went back inside, closed the door, and turned off the light. The room was quiet again, but it wasn't silence this time, it was peace. And that letter, the one I'd never send, had finally said everything I needed to hear. It took months, but one morning, I woke up without that familiar heaviness pressing on my chest. The silence in my apartment no longer felt like absence, it felt like calm. The first breath I took that day didn't taste like grief anymore. It tasted like air, just air. I stretched, looked at the faint sunlight spilling through the curtains, and whispered to myself, so this is what peace feels like. Later that morning, Mark called. Hey, man, brunch again, he asked. Same place? I smiled faintly. The one with the bad coffee and good memories? That's the one, he laughed. You in? Yeah, I said. I think it's time I go back. The cafe hadn't changed. Same brick walls, same faded smell of roasted beans, same cheerful chaos. But everything about me had. As I walked in, Mark waved from a corner table. Beside him were a few friends, Emma, who always talked too loud, Ryan, who joked too much, and Lisa, who still managed to make everyone feel at ease. Mark grinned. Look who finally crawled out of isolation. Be nice, I said, sitting down. I was busy healing. Emma smirked. Healing or hiding? Both, I said, laughing. Turns out they're not that different. Lisa leaned forward. You actually look lighter. I am, I admitted. I stopped carrying people who weren't meant to stay. Mark raised his cup. To that, I'll drink. The clinking of mugs filled the air, followed by laughter. For the first time in a long while, the sound didn't echo off emptiness. Ryan leaned back. You ever talk to her again? I hesitated, then shook my head. No. There's nothing left to say. Do you still think about her? Emma asked softly. Sometimes, I said. But not in the way I used to. Lisa smiled knowingly. You've made peace with it, haven't you? I looked out the window, sunlight washing over the street. Yeah, I said quietly. She once told her sister she dreamed of her ex every night. Now, I sleep without ghosts. Mark nodded slowly. That's heavy. No, I said. It's freedom. There was a small pause before the chatter picked up again, stories, teasing, plans for next weekend. For the first time, I wasn't pretending to enjoy the moment. I was in it. As I sipped my coffee, I thought about how much could change in a year. A few months ago, I couldn't even walk past this place without feeling my chest tighten. Now, it just felt like another Sunday. Mark caught my glance. You good? Better than good, I said. I'm me again. He smiled. Told you it'd happen. Yeah, I said, but I had to believe it first. Emma leaned in. So what now? You gonna start dating again? I chuckled. Eventually. But right now, I'm enjoying the quiet. The quiet? Ryan said, grinning. You sound like a monk. Maybe, I said. A happy monk with a Netflix subscription. They all laughed, and the sound felt like sunshine. For a moment, I glanced toward the table where we once sat, Claire and I, laughing over pancakes, pretending our cracks weren't showing. The image came and went, soft as a ripple on water. No sting. Just memory. Lisa caught me looking. You okay? Yeah, I said, smiling. Just remembering. Not reliving. The waiter came by to refill our cups. As he poured, the scent of coffee filled the air, warm, rich, grounding. I took a deep breath, feeling completely present for the first time in what felt like years. Mark nudged me. You ever think you'll forgive her? I looked at him, then shrugged. Maybe I already did. Forgiveness isn't for her, it's for me. He nodded. That's deep. It's simple, I said. You can't heal if you keep reopening the wound. Ryan raised an eyebrow. So you're done with heartbreak speeches? Almost, I said, laughing. One last line left in me. Emma leaned closer. Let's hear it then, poet boy. I looked around the table, at the people who stayed when everything fell apart, and smiled. Sometimes the best closure, I said slowly, is realizing you deserved better all along. The table went quiet for a second. Then Mark grinned. Alright, I'm stealing that for my next breakup. You can have it, I said. I'm done writing sad endings. Laughter erupted again, light and easy. Someone cracked a joke about Ryan's cooking. Emma teased Lisa about her terrible driving. The moment glowed, uncomplicated, unburdened, alive. I looked around, realizing how far I'd come. There was no anger left, no lingering ache, no need to prove I'd moved on. I just had. As the sunlight shifted through the cafe window, I thought about the path that led me here, all the pain, the sleepless nights, the self-doubt. It wasn't wasted. It was the price of clarity. When the bill came, Mark grabbed it before I could protest. "My treat," he said. "You survived hell. The least I can do is buy breakfast." I laughed. "You're a terrible influence." "Maybe," he said. "But I'm a loyal one." As we stood to leave, I caught my reflection in the cafe window. The man looking back wasn't broken anymore. Just whole. Outside, the air was warm, the world loud with life. I walked down the street beside my friends, sunlight on my face, the faint hum of traffic blending with laughter. For the first time, I didn't look back, not at her, not at the past, not at the what-ifs. I didn't dream of people anymore. I dreamed of peace.